I feel like that if anything, Thrift With Me's videos are like a really great example of late stage capitalism commodification of an industry that suddenly made a lot of profit and got you know sucked by, again, late stage capitalism. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're revenant. Please consider subscribing if you like everything and anything about secondhand fashion, chaotic styling, and yapping. And for this week's video, we're going to talk about Thrift With Me's videos. Thrift With Me's, and I'm also going to include hauls in them because, like, I feel that with all Thrift With Me videos, there's always a whole, and how those videos, there was a time where they blew up, they were massive, they were on my feed all the time, and suddenly, like, everything that gets commodified and like gain momentum, it loses its momentum, and it did lost its momentum. And I've just seen a couple of videos, like two, three videos the past 2 weeks popping up on my feed about Thrift With Me's, and it got me thinking about, like some channels that, blew up thanks to Thrift With Me's when they were very popular, and also about how those Thrift With Me's made me feel over the time, and how it kind of sharpened my critical thinking on my consumption around secondhand fashion. I feel like that was really the catalyst that really kind of got me to sit down and really be like, okay, Ruth, like we need to talk about why you feel so uncomfortable and so a bit at odds with those Thrift With Me videos that I used to love. I would literally watch them all day, every day. I used to love them, but then after a while, not only when you start kind of watching those videos, they're very repetitive, but also they just, something was a bit off, for me. And I just felt kind of, when I was thinking about that, I was just like, but like, okay, it's thrifted items, but something kind of still made me feel like it was repeating a pattern that we've been pointing the fingers at about first-hand fashion, I'm gonna call it like that, like, all those fast fashion brands and stuff. But yeah, then there was this kind of feeling that secondhand fashion, those Thrift With Me, thrift hauls, we're kind of doing the same thing. So first, I want to talk about the commodification of thrifting, because thrifting is not something that is completely new. Like, over the time, the periods, it has, like, always had like different connotation. For a very long time, it was seen as something kind of, if you could not afford first-hand fashion clothing, you were poor. Like, even then, even in the Middle Ages, wearing second-hand clothing was a sign of your poverty, because you could not afford wearing, like buying first-hand clothing. And it was not about repeating, your outfit, because repeating, like, the things that you're wearing were very common, which, like, bring back outfit repeating, please. But it's just that, like, buying new premium clothing, especially back then, was not something everyone could afford. Not to talk about how also some clothing and some fabric were forbidden for some like, social classes, and because you needed to distinguish yourself and all that jazz. But all to say that secondhand clothing are not new, and they've been a really, really big thing, especially here in Europe. There was like a huge commerce, business of secondhand clothing. I might do like a video on, the kind of history of, secondhand clothing and thrifting, because I did my master's in journalism on that specifically. So I have actually like dug into the whole like history of secondhand clothing. So there's a lot to say. So that's something that I might talk about, because I think it's important to know that it's not something that is new, because I feel like that a lot of things that happen today seem to be seen as innovation or new, when nothing is very innovative those past few decades. Like things are just, modified, but they're not really innovated. But that's a discussion for another day as well. Over the years, because if you also take into account the fact that, like, from countries to countries, region to region, like the connotation of secondhand fashion has also been different. For example, in French-speaking Europe, secondhand fashion was seen as something really kind of you. Like, why are you wearing secondhand fashion when you can actually go to a fast fashion brand and buy something new? I had my whole, fashion shaped through like Tumblr. I'm a millennial. Tumblr was my life for a time. I used to be on Tumblr all the time. I followed so many creators on Tumblr, which I actually admired. And also because I'm like also grew up with British culture as well. But I also grew up in Switzerland mostly. Like I had like this kind of, it was quite, huge for me to see the difference between like how secondhand fashion was perceived in the UK and how secondhand fashion was perceived here in Switzerland. Because in Switzerland, people just did not understand. And since I was going to the UK also often, I would go to charity shops there, because charity shops, culture in the UK, I feel like that it's been within the culture for a very long time. People don't really pay much attention. Then also, I don't really know, because I have not really grown up in the UK. I was mostly going there to visit family. So, but I feel like that from what I have heard, talking to my cousins and talking to friends who grew up there, like charity shopping, even though it was not, seen as something bad because it was part of the culture, it was still, some people still had like, some shame to say that what they were wearing was secondhand. Like it was still the kind of thing like, if you can buy firsthand, it's better, for your reputation and for like, how people perceives you. Like it's better for you to be wearing kind of brand new clothes than to wear like secondhand clothes. So the whole kind of, aspect of secondhand clothing was very much frowned upon here in Switzerland. Years passed, I got more and more into secondhand fashion, and this time around, for kind of, I would say, political reasons, like understanding the intersection of race and gender, and like the global south, the global north, and exploitation and capitalism made me kind of understand that like all those intersection, like which are like, under capitalism, creates like very, very deadly, we can say, situation where people not only die, but the environments die, and it's over exploitation. I mean, like all those things like got me really into that. And then I got like into secondhand fashion than for political reasons. And I feel like that because the environment issues movement grew, and it got like bigger and bigger, because we literally under a whole climate crisis, which is being exacerbated by genocides as well. So it's a whole kind of things where you kind of, it's like the planet is burning. Like, capitalism is literally killing our planet because all it cares about is profit. And because of that, like, the movement grew worldwide, thank God, and it picked up here in Switzerland as well. And then suddenly, like, one of the alternatives to understand was, to shop secondhand, to now be kind of more mindful of what you're buying. And instead of buying from those corporations, buy from the small charity shop around the corner. It is great to kind of wake people up on the impacts and, like, ways to reduce that impact and to make sure that they're not furthering and accelerating the catastrophe that we're living under. But the thing is, what happened is just that because of capitalism, and capitalism does not want to solve its problem, which, like, the problem of capitalism is capitalism, but because it's too profitable for the people who benefit from capitalism, it's not going to change its system. So it always find like ways to use kind of, alternative band-aids where people like then feel good about themselves, like the individual feel good about themselves, but never really talking about like who is and what is the cause of this catastrophe. And so it's putting the blame on the people, and be like, okay, so you can now use charity shops because charity shops are great, reduces the impact, it's used clothes, so it means that we're not making more clothes. And suddenly this gets commodified because people with more buying power are willing to give more because, they want to ease their mind of all the like emissions or like trace that they might leave that might be actually detrimental to the society, which, again, I repeat it, is great, but the fault should not be put upon individuals. Like, it's corporation that are causing it, individuals are not. Like, especially when you talk about like social class, like the social class that is literally harming the less is the working class. Like, working class people, because they have the least means, are harming the least. Like, the ruling class is the one harming the world with their private jets and investment in oil companies or like weapon manufacturing and all that jazz. They are the one causing that. But the thing is, they want you to believe that it's the little people who are causing that. You see how capitalism never wants to really solve itself, because the ruling class who is benefiting from the system just wants to make sure that it's making as much profit and money. So it's always trying to divert the little people into making them believe that they are the ones causing the problem, when no. We came to a point where if you weren't saying that what you were wearing is secondhand, people were just going to be like, why are you shopping fast fashion and corporation? Like, it kind of completely forgetting that there's so many factors that you need to take into account. And one of them being that some people who relied on second-hand fashion could not rely on that anymore because it got commodified and prices rose up to the point that the only thing that they could really afford was like fast fashion, because second-hand fashion was becoming too expensive for them. Our generation, like younger generation, are not only more environmental conscious, and hopefully class conscious, but our future is so bleak that basically, like, everything is so uncertain because of the climate crisis that we're living under, that, we a bit like, we're gonna take like any scraps that we can take in order to be able to save ourselves and make sure to have a somehow a certain future, which is still very uncertain by now. So more young people, like, I feel like that wanted to also show like everything that you could find in a charity shop, because like when it blew up, like there was still some reticence in really trusting charity shops. Like the whole charity shop secondhand store had such a bad connotation for a long time, where not only it was seen for poor people, but it was also seen as like filthy, smelly, like untrustworthy, like so many things, that I feel that at first those thrift with me videos were actually quite great, because they were kind of showing like the diversity of things that you can find, like different shops that you can go to. And I feel like that it was kind of a way to show people that you save to go to charity shops. You're gonna find like great things as well. You can find things that you're very familiar to and familiar with. It's not as scary as people think it is. And I feel like that the at first thrift with me's were really much about it, and it got really popular because then suddenly people kind of realized that, oh, like actually charity shops are great, they're actually amazing. And like I feel the people who started doing this kind of video kind of saw that they were doing quite great viewership wise, and it snowballed. It snowballed, and then suddenly a lot more people starting doing thrift with me's and thrift hauls. And it came to a point where some channels were literally just thrift with me's and thrift hauls. Like they would post like once a week, and it would just be like, come thrift with me, Y2K edition. Like it kind of then was varied with some specific trends, specific finds, specific themes, and all that jazz. And like I said in the first chapter of this video, I used to love thrift with me's, but the more I was watching them, the more I was kind of feeling like everything was very much alike. The more something was bugging me off, because I just, for quite some time, I could not point the fingers at what was bugging me off so much. But at some point, I kind of realized that what bothered me off so much and what pissed me off so much was because not only all videos were the same, but I could just not understand why you would go thrifting every week. Like for me, it was just so insane, because I would be like, okay, so you already went thrifting last week, and then the week before, and then 2 weeks before, and then 4 weeks before. And I think the whole thing kind of all of a sudden made me kind of, pause and be like, wait, like, is it really necessary for you to go and thrift every week and to, be documenting every week what you're thrifting? When you were looking at the thrift haul or the little, thrift come with me travel, it would be just like, they would actually thrift things that I would look at it and I was just like, you already have something similar that you thrifted like 2 videos ago or 1 video ago. Like, it was, I feel that at some point what it kind of became was, oh, I'm just thrifting to thrift, and I'm just gonna thrift things that are currently on trend. Even though I already have something similar, I'm just gonna thrift it because it's like just on trend, and that's what people want to see, is trendy things, you know? And it kind of then felt very much like, wait. Is there like a true kind of like message behind these videos that you're doing, knowing that you're literally thrifting things that you have already thrifted? And mind you, like the things that they would thrift, then you would barely see them wearing them, and they would go thrifting and it was just like, so it was not that them just thrifting 1 or 2 or 3 things, no, it was thrifting a whole fucking cart of things, of full on clothes and accessories and shoes. And it was just so insane to me at some point, because then it kind of starting to make sense, where I was just like, honey, this is overconsumption. We are literally witnessing overconsumption, because if you're thrifting things that you have already thrifted, or similar things that you have already thrifted few videos ago, and the thing is, those creators were very well aware. They would literally tell you, oh yeah, no, I already thrifted something similar like that a few like weeks ago, but I'm still gonna thrift that. That's why I was just like, what would you thrift something that you already have, which you will likely not even wear? Because I mean, at least if you have like 2 or 3 of the same item, you're gonna be wearing one more than the others. Like, do you really need to have 3 of them? Like, even though they're different colors and stuff like that, do you really need like multiple of them? It just felt so like the overconsumption was so loud in those videos, where they were just thrifting to thrift. The goal was just to get as much clothes so they could have a successful like thrift haul. The overconsumption was really like, you need to make sure that you have as many clothes as you can, so it's like opulence. The whole idea that those thrift hauls needed to happen, but every time those thrift hauls had to be about making sure that you get as many clothes as possible. How many videos of those come thrift with me and thrift hauls have I seen, where you would see the creator being like all kind of disappointed that they did not find as many clothes as they could, and how we have actually linked to like overconsumption with success. If you can buy a lot, it's successful. If you can't buy a lot, it's not. And when you think of it, it's actually such a effed up way to think, because we have been wired to believe that the more clothes that we have, the more successful and the better it is for us. The more you consume, the best it is for us. Because what we don't understand in it is that the more you consume, the more money you give to the corporation, the more profit they make for their business, and the more successful they get. So that's why overconsumption is linked to success. The more clothes you have, the successful you are. The less you have, the less successful. Like, you see how things are linked. And the moment I kind of started understanding this, I was just like, that's why those thrift with me's are actually pissing me off. Is because it's kind of in a way telling me that I need to, when I thrift, I have to make sure that I'm thrifting a lot, that it has to be successful. Like, I have to be able to like come out of the shop with actually one bag full to the brim of clothes. This overconsumption, I think it truly wore us out. we were tired. I think we all got like super, super tired about seeing overconsumption. And I'm saying we because I feel that I talk about it to some friends, so I'm kind of more including friends and myself, but I guess that more people also felt that way. Felt very tired with the constant, you know, flow and viewing of, you know, thrift hauls. Thrift with means people every week. I feel that when you see something in excess, like excess kind of like tires you out so much so easily because it just becomes too much. It just is like whoa, 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 like, and like we really, really did get very tired about seeing so much overconsumption. I think a lot of people also realized that it was getting a bit too far. Like, we were literally doing the same things that we were complaining first-hand fashion was causing. And we were doing this, but with second-hand fashion. I think then more information came out about how thrift shops were getting gentrified. A lot of the people who relied on those could not afford them anymore because it was just too much. We started seeing about how some people were selling things on apps and gouging the prices. Like, we've seen like insane things that they would sell, and the whole kind of things like giving this to the highest bidder. You know, it was just so insane, and it's literally selling like Brandy Melville top, you know, to the highest bidder. It was just like such, it became so insane that I feel like that everyone got just overwhelmed. We all got so overwhelmed. It kind of started making no sense. We started reproducing so much of the issues that we were complaining about that we hoped that secondhand fashion would actually solve. But no, like, it just in a way exacerbated it with a little green label. After a while, when people get really tired and things just makes no sense, because something that we thought would actually become a solution to a problem that we wanted to, you know, resolve, and we're actually realizing that it went a bit overboard because it's causing the same things but in different ways. I think people, you know, starting like watching it less and less because people just, and like I said, it was very repetitive content. It's always the same thing. People going to thrift stores, or boot, like car boot sales and vintage shops and thrifting and trying clothes and buying clothes, and often buying clothes that are similar to the ones that they already bought like a few videos ago. So like, I think people also got very tired of that because the content was very repetitive, was not that interested. It was just overconsumption for overconsuming, for content, to make money. And it felt inauthentic at some point. It felt very inauthentic. And I do strongly believe that that's also the reason why this kind of videos, thrift with me / thrift hauls, kind of got like less and less popular. I feel like that a lot of those channels who got popular thanks to those kind of videos had to like pivot into doing other type of content. The commodification worked so successfully that it's now wearing off, and it's just, people just wanted to move on because they were just not kicking with the content anymore. Don't get me wrong, thrift haul are still a thing, but they are more sparse. The people who do those thrift hauls, they tend to do like collective thrift hauls of things that they bought over the months, you know, and showing those thrift hauls. One thing that also tired me out a lot about those thrift with me's and thrift hauls is the fact that people would be like, come thrift with me my new autumn wardrobe, and you're just like, thrift your new autumn wardrobe? Like, honey, you don't already own clothes, you know? And it's just, oh, come thrift my entire Pinterest board. Like, why do you need to thrift a whole new wardrobe when you already own clothes? You know? And it's the whole thing where sometimes that's where I was just like, it just makes no sense. Why are you thrifting a whole new wardrobe? I mean, it was more like for clickbait, I know that. But it was just that kind of mentioning in the whole thing that they're going to buy a lot of new things to replenish their wardrobe with clothes that they already have that are similar. Yeah, I think, yeah, the whole overconsumption things as well, where you have to buy a lot to be successful. I feel like that, you know, the moment you change your thinking and you understand that, like, a successful shopping trip should not be valued on the amount of clothes that you bought, but on the quality of clothes that you bought. And if you manage to get what you're looking for, is what's the most important. Okay, guys, so that's the end of this video. Please let me know in the comment what you think about it. Are like thrift with me something that you still consume? What are your thoughts of that? Did you also get this kind of fatigue from watching, you know, so many thrift with me's and thrift hauls, and like the whole kind of pile of clothes that they were always kind of hauling and thrifting and all that jazz? Please let me know what are your thoughts on this kind of thrift with me's. And like, if you like this video, please like it helps me a lot. Consider subscribing, please. We're growing this little family. I have more pieces coming, because like there's so many thoughts that I want to share with you all, especially in this realm of critically thinking, like fashion, and especially secondhand fashion. That's always very interesting to have like different point of view, because there's so many factors that makes our thinking different, because like the environment you live in is something that you need to take into consideration as well. So yes, share it around if you feel like it. Share it to friends, family, best friends, siblings, or whatever. And I'll see you in my next video. Love always.